Hello, and welcome to the Public Consultation Centre, or PCC for short, for the Victoria Street Modifications, King Street West to Weber Street West study. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation and learn more about this study. Your input is extremely valuable to us. As part of the region of Waterloo's ongoing commitment to reconciliation, the following territorial acknowledgement serves to honor the ongoing relationship building process with Indigenous communities. This acknowledgement is a continual reminder of the past, current, and ongoing work the region must undertake in its steps towards truth and reconciliation. The region of Waterloo is situated on the land traditionally used by the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence and deep traditional knowledge, contributions, and philosophies of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today. The purpose of this PCC is to provide an overview of the study area, study purpose, study process, and study timeline, provide an overview and update to the Kitchener Central Transit Hub study, review the existing conditions in the study area, review the applicable policies and best practices, identify the opportunities for improvement for Victoria Street within the study area, present the design alternatives and the preliminary technically preferred design concept, and discuss next steps, including how you can provide comments and input into the study. As an introduction to this presentation, the following slides will review the study background, the study area, and the study objectives of the Victoria Street Modifications, King Street West to Weber Street West study. The Victoria Street Modifications, King Street West to Weber Street West study was identified as a need during the Kitchener Central Transit Hub study, or KCTH for short. The KCTH study is being undertaken by the region of Waterloo to plan and implement a new transit hub at the corner of King Street and Victoria Street in Kitchener, which will include the new location for the GO Transit and Via Rail train platform and a bus loop. The KCTH has been ongoing at the region of Waterloo since January 2020. Currently, they are in the detailed design for Phase 1 of the design. For more information on the KCTH study, visit the KCTH project website linked at the bottom of the display slide.
The KCTH study is currently focusing on Phase 1. A draft transit hub site design is shown at the bottom of this display. The KCTH design includes a GO train / Via Rail platform to the northwest corner, a bus loop with bus bays, and a multi-use path connecting pedestrians and cyclists from Victoria Street. Further, Duke Street is being closed to vehicles. Duke Street will form part of the KCTH bus loop, as well as include a multi-use path for pedestrians and cyclists only. Due to the site plan design, Victoria Street is being shifted to provide better multimodal connections to the transit hub.
This created an opportunity for the region to plan for a roadway that complements the KCTH, that is safe and sustainable, and that accommodates the future larger pedestrian and cyclist movements that result from current and future increasing trends in active transportation uptake. As such, the region initiated the Victoria Street Modifications, King Street West to Weber Street West study. The study area for the study is central to Victoria Street, from King Street to Weber Street.
The Victoria Street Modifications, King Street West to Weber Street West study's objectives include but are not limited to the following: create high-quality multimodal connections to facilitate first and last mile connections to the future Kitchener Central Transit Hub site by walking, cycling, and using transit. Support the region's transportation master plan recommendations for providing good walking facilities on both sides of all regional roads, for separating cycling facilities in key corridors, and for increasing transit service frequency. Support transportation equity by providing for convenient, safe, and affordable alternative modes of transportation. Encourage more people to cycle on Victoria Street and to the Kitchener Central Transit Hub by providing safe and separate cycling facilities, and connect cycling infrastructure to destinations and to other cycling facilities.
In the next slide, we will review the study schedule. The region initiated the Victoria Street modifications, King Street West to Weber Street West study in November 2022. Under the newly approved amendments to the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment, or MCEA for short, the Victoria Street modifications, King Street West to Weber Street West study is a Schedule B project. The region recognizes the importance in completing a comprehensive study and in engaging stakeholders and the public during the study. As such, the study is generally following the study process of an MCA process, which are as follows. Phase 1, Problems and Opportunities. During this phase, the existing and planned condition of the study area are reviewed and a Problems and Opportunities statement is stated. These will be presented at this PCC. Phase 2, Develop and Evaluate Alternative Solutions. In other words, looking at functionally different solutions to the project that address the problems and selecting a technically preferred solution. We are currently at the end of this phase. During the PCC, we will review the work completed to date, the problems and opportunities, the developed planning solutions, the evaluation of planning solutions, and the preliminary preferred planning solution. Following this PCC, the project team will move into Phase 3, Confirming the Preferred Solution, review the stakeholder and public feedback and comments on the study process and on the preliminary preferred design, and confirm the preferred design. Phase 4, Prepare project file report that documents the study and the decision-making process. Once the study phases are completed, the study will go into the detailed design stage to further refine the design. Following detailed design will be the construction. As part of this PCC, we are looking for your input on the recommended design of the roadway. The next section summarizes the existing and planned conditions of the Victoria Street modifications, King Street West to Weber Street West study. The map here outlines the existing land uses in the project area. The blue line outlines the project study area. The study is located within the downtown Kitchener Urban Growth Centre, which is envisioned to be a vibrant regional and citywide destination. It is intended to be the City of Kitchener's primary focal point for residential intensification and investment in institutional land use, and a region-wide focal point for public services, commercial, office, recreational, cultural, and entertainment uses. The study area is located within the Innovation District of the Urban Growth Centre. This district is characterized by many large old industrial buildings which have already been converted or have the potential for conversion to loft-style office and residential uses and other variable uses. This area is different from the rest of the downtown as Victoria Street carries through traffic, not necessarily destined for the city center. It is anticipated that this district will evolve with the development of the KCTH. The Innovation District will continue to transform into a dense, contemporary urban setting. The presence of high-tech and health science-related office uses, as well as new post-secondary and research-related institutional uses, is expected to grow over time. The city of Kitchener is rich in history and is home to many built cultural heritage resources and cultural heritage landscapes, which are highlighted in brown. Within the study area, the Rumpel Co. building is identified as a property of cultural heritage value or interest and will need to be integrated into the corridor design. There is a portion of this building that is not set back from the sidewalk and goes up right up against the road's right-of-way. This will be a constraint as the road cannot be widened here. Victoria Street is a regional road that travels east-west across the region and through downtown Kitchener. Most notably, King Street, which is a city arterial road, intersects the Victoria Street study area on the west end of the study area. King Street is a major transit connection for the future KCTH, as it is the Ion Light Rail Transit, or LRT, corridor, connecting the cities of Waterloo, Kitchener, and Cambridge to major nodes and destinations. Victoria Street connects to some existing facilities that can accommodate cycling. There are multi-use paths on King Street and Weber Street. There are also planned active transportation connections to the study area, which are shown in dotted lines. There is a planned multi-use pathway that will connect Victoria Street to the future GO Transit and Via Rail train platform and future bus bays, a future two-way cycle track on Duke Street from Victoria Street connecting southbound through downtown Kitchener, and a future multi-use path on Duke Street connecting to the Bright Hop neighborhood. As mentioned previously, Duke Street north of Victoria Street to the railway tracks will be decommissioned to vehicles. It will only be used by buses entering the bus loop and by pedestrians and cyclists connecting to the multi-use path. The context of the roadway is generally consistent from King Street to Weber Street. This is the view of the existing conditions on Victoria Street, east of Duke Street looking east. Victoria Street is configured with a sidewalk on both sides of the street with 4 driving vehicular lanes. There are no existing cycling facilities in the study area. The next slides will note the policies and best practices review this project will be following. This project will be working within the existing policy framework at the provincial, regional, and municipal level, such as following the provincial policy statement, places to grow, the regional and local official plan, and the region's transportation master plan, to name a few. The 2018 Transportation Master Plan provides the policy background for the region's transportation network. Waterloo Region is envisioned to be a prosperous, sustainable, and healthy community with viable transportation choices for people of all ages and abilities, and for the good supporting our economy. Strategies include Strategy 1, build a transportation network that supports all modes of travel. Strategy 2, promote a healthy community, such as create and/or upgrade active transportation facilities, upgrade facilities to improve separation from traffic, identify opportunities for and implement crossings of major barriers, enhance network connections, and enhance walk and bike access to transit. More recently, policy direction from the Climate Action Strategy sets high goals for sustainable transportation. The strategy aims for the majority of trips to be taken by active transportation by 2050 through relying on a robust public transit system. To achieve this goal, the strategy guides the region to redesign, rebuild, and maintain our transportation system to prioritize active transportation, plan a network of major active transportation corridors that will provide priority travel for walking, cycling, and rolling to key destinations, build neighborhood connections to the active transportation network, design and maintain active transportation infrastructure to ensure year-round access, safety, and comfort for people of all ages and abilities. This slide includes some examples of the best practices for AT facilities and design guidelines our project team members will be referencing and following, such as the Geometric Design Guide for Canadian Roads, the region's context-sensitive Regional Transportation Corridor Guidelines, which provide design standards for planning and designing complete streets that include space for all modes of transportation, and the Ontario Traffic Manual Book 18, Cycling Facilities. This study refers to these guidelines while also following the latest best practices that have emerged since their publication. Before we move on to the next section to explore the different design components of a road, there are some design considerations to review. Given Victoria Street's urban downtown context, a complete street approach is taken in the development of roadway configuration options. A complete street design approach was taken in the development of the different design options for the study. With the development of the Kitchener Central Transit Hub, promoting active transportation and encouraging a higher modal split, a complete street will help to enhance the corridor as an inviting, vibrant, and comfortable destination. Complete street designs are meant for all ages. This type of design promotes activity, livability, and connectivity for all modes of travel. We recognize that each community and each corridor is unique from other ones. As such, the complete street design approach for Victoria Street will include considerations to the projected traffic volumes, the projected needs of the corridor based on future land uses, the existing adjacent and surrounding neighborhoods, the desires of the community and stakeholders, the existing downtown character, and the widths of the road. Within a typical complete street, there are various zones from one side of the street to the other. This image shows the different zones that make up a complete street. Starting from the edge of the street, we find the area dedicated to streetscaping and active transportation. This area often includes a pedestrian zone, such as sidewalks, and an amenity zone, which may contain patios, plantings, art, and furnishings. Then, moving away from the edge of the street is a cycling zone. The cycling facilities should be elevated and separated from traffic for increased safety and better enjoyment of the street by both drivers and cyclists. Finally, moving towards center, we find the travel lane zones for vehicles here. Adjacent to the travel lane is a street or transit lane. Together, the travel lane and the transit lane form the roadway, the area dedicated to cars. Based on the background review of existing and planned conditions of the study area and beyond, a problem and opportunity statement was prepared to guide this study. Due to the Kitchener Central Transit Hub study and planned intensification, there is a need to redesign Victoria Street as a complete street to accommodate the KCTH site plan and design for safe and comfortable active travel due to the future increases in trips made by pedestrians, cyclists, transit users, and motorists. After the careful review of existing and planned conditions and the preparation of the problems and opportunities statement, the project team considered functionally different methods of addressing the problems and opportunities for the corridor. These are known as alternative solutions and are different for different projects depending on the context. To follow a complete street approach, the development and assessment of alternatives were broken down into the following steps. Step 1. Develop design alternatives for active transportation and for the roadway separately. Step 2. Develop an evaluation criteria for both sets of planning solutions based on environmental factors, impacts, and mitigation, as well as each planning solution's effectiveness at addressing the problems and opportunities statement. Step 3. Evaluate the active transportation alternative planning solutions and select a technically preferred active transportation solution. Step 4. Evaluate the roadway alternative planning solutions and select a technically preferred roadway solution. Step 5. Consolidate the preliminary preferred roadway design alternative with the preliminary preferred active transportation design. Make design adjustments as necessary so that the design is functional. This approach emphasizes and prioritizes active transportation within the study area as a complete street design approach. Now that we have established the assessment methodology for this study, the next step is to review and evaluate the developed alternative planning solutions for active transportation and to select a technically preferred solution for active transportation. The developed alternatives for active transportation focused on different separated cycling facility options throughout the corridor. Cycling on car-dominated streets is undesirable due to the collision risks between motorists and cyclists. Physically separating cyclists from motor vehicles is the most effective tool to increase safety and cycling volumes. In fact, only 3 to 5% of cyclists are willing to cycle in mixed lanes. Most cyclists are using sidewalks to travel. However, 50 to 70% of the population is interested in cycling if they are separated from cars. Additionally, motorists are concerned about colliding with cyclists on the road. Separated cycling facilities decrease the pressure on the roads as more people move into the area. Finally, a significant percentage of short trips under 8 kilometers, are currently being taken by car. A network of separated cycling facilities, if maintained appropriately, also allows for safe year-round cycling, including in the winter. The first alternative is a do-nothing scenario. For active transportation, this means maintaining the existing sidewalks on either side of the study area. This design does not incorporate any facilities for cycling. This is Alternative A. This scenario improves the sidewalk widths on both sides of Victoria Street and incorporates two-way cycle track throughout the study area, as it is the recommended cycling facility type in dense downtown urban environments. This alternative has two-way cycle tracks on the north side of Victoria Street from King Street to the planned KCTH multi-use path that will connect to the future train platform and bus loop. Between there and Weber Street is a one-way westbound cycle track to Weber Street. On the south side, this alternative has a one-way eastbound cycle track traveling from King Street to Weber Street. All alternatives have the one-way eastbound cycle track traveling from King Street to Weber Street on the south side of Victoria Street except for Alternative D. This is Alternative B. Like Alternative A, this alternative has the two-way cycle track on the north side of Victoria Street from King Street to the west end of the Rumpelfeld Co. building, and a one-way westbound cycle track from Duke Street to Weber Street. In this scenario, a multi-use path is located in front of the Rumpelfeld Co. building. This option was explored as the space in front of the Rumpelfeld Co. building is a constrained pinch point in the Victoria Street roadway at the intersection of Duke Street. It should be noted that multi-use paths are not recommended in urban downtown roadways, as it is not considered safe nor comfortable in this context. Rather, multi-use paths are generally used in suburban and rural contexts. Like Alternative A, this scenario improves the sidewalk width on both sides of Victoria Street and has a one-way eastbound cycletrack traveling from King Street to Weber Street on the south side of Victoria Street. This is Alternative C. In this scenario, a multi-use path is located from the east end of the Rumpelfeld Co. building to the Weber Street intersection. This option builds off Alternative B to continue the multi-use path to Weber Street, where there is an existing multi-use path. Like Alternative A, this scenario improves the sidewalk widths on both sides of Victoria Street and has a one-way eastbound cycletrack traveling from King Street to Weber Street on the south side of Victoria Street. This is Alternative D. Like Alternative A, this scenario improves the sidewalk widths on both sides of Victoria Street. In this Alternative D, a two-way cycletrack traverses the study area on the north side of Victoria Street from King Street to Weber Street. This connects active transportation to the existing multi-use paths on King Street and Weber Street, the planned multi-use path on Duke Street, and maximizes active transportation to the planned Kitchener Central Transit Hub. The next section will present the evaluation criteria and assessment of these active transportation solutions. After identifying the alternative active transportation solutions, they were evaluated against the following criteria to determine their socioeconomic impacts as well as the planning and transportation needs of the alternative planning solutions. Some of the sub-criteria include safety for pedestrians, including minimal exposures to bike and traffic, especially at intersections. Safety for cyclists, including safe crossings at intersections. Comfort for pedestrians, including facility width, separation from cyclists and traffic, and presence of landscaping. Comfort for cyclists, including facility width, separation from traffic, and presence of landscaping. Connections to planned intersecting cycling facilities, preliminary property impacts, and the multimodal level of service, a new methodology for analyzing the quality of service provided by streets and intersections to users of all modes of travel, including transit, cyclists, pedestrians, trucks, and cars. This table represents a summary of the evaluation of alternative active transportation solutions against each evaluation criteria. Alternative A and D were evaluated to have the best overall benefit to Victoria Street in this section. Alternative A has sidewalks on both sides, two-way cycle tracks on the north side of Victoria Street between King Street and the future KCTH multi-use path, and one-way cycle tracks on both the north and south side for the remainder of the corridor. Alternative D has sidewalks on both sides and a two-way cycle track on the north side of Victoria Street. These alternatives were evaluated to have the best benefits because they provide the best improvements to the active transportation network, both in terms of connections to other facilities, but also provide the safest and most comfortable travel for cyclists, and they are consistent to Ontario Traffic Manual Book 18 recommendations for cycle tracks in an urban downtown environment rather than multi-use paths. Therefore, alternatives A and D are the recommended alternatives. The selection of which alternative to use will depend on the functional compatibility with the preferred roadway alternative. The next section will present the developed alternative solutions for the roadway, meaning for vehicular travel. The first alternative is a do-nothing scenario. For the roadway, that means maintaining the existing vehicular travel lanes as they are, with 4 lanes of vehicular travel, 2 in each direction, westbound and eastbound. Alternative 1 has 3 vehicular travel lanes, 1 eastbound vehicular travel lane, 1 westbound vehicular travel lane, and a 2-way left turn lane as the center lane. Alternative 2 has 3 vehicular travel lanes, 2 westbound vehicular travel lanes, and 1 eastbound vehicular travel lane. This alternative was developed based on traffic patterns coming from Highway 7 to the east and into or through the downtown. Alternative 3 has 3 vehicular travel lanes, 1 westbound vehicular travel lane, 1 eastbound vehicular travel lane, and 1 westbound transit priority lane. This alternative was developed based on anticipated transit traffic volumes that will be traveling to and from the KCTH. Alternative 4 has 2 vehicular travel lanes, 1 westbound vehicular travel lane and 1 eastbound vehicular travel lane. This alternative was developed based on the principle of maximizing space for pedestrians and cyclists. Alternative 4 has 2 vehicular travel lanes and 2 transit priority lanes, 1 westbound vehicular travel lane and 1 eastbound vehicular travel lane, and 1 westbound transit priority lane and 1 eastbound transit priority lane. This alternative was developed in collaboration with Grand River Transit and maximizes access to and from the Kitchener Central Transit Hub for all modes of transportation. This alternative considers the needs and safe access for transit vehicles that will be traveling along this corridor and their frequent access to the future bus loop entrance at Duke Street. After identifying these alternative roadway solutions, they are evaluated against the following criteria to determine the socioeconomic, natural, and cultural environmental impacts, as well as the planning and transportation needs of the alternative planning solutions. Some of the sub-criteria include consistency to applicable plans and policies, the ability to enhance the public realm or contribute to the downtown's revitalization, potential impacts to climate change, potential impacts to cultural heritage, potential impacts to access to the KCTH, potential impacts to transit and traffic operations, and potential traffic disruptions. This table represents a summary of the evaluation of alternative roadway solutions against each evaluation criteria. Alternative 5, which has 2 motor vehicle travel lanes and 2 transit priority lane, one of each type traveling eastbound and westbound, was evaluated to have the best overall benefit to Victoria Street in this section. It provides the best improvements and access to the Kitchener Central Transit Hub, both in terms of connections to other facilities, but also provides the safest and most comfortable travel for cyclists. It best meets the needs of Grand River Transit in terms of connection, access, and safety, and it is consistent to Ontario Traffic Book 18 recommendations for a road in an urban downtown environment. Therefore, Alternative 5 is the recommended alternative. With the selection of the preferred active transportation alternative and the preferred roadway alternative, a preliminary design has been started, which combines the 2 preferred solutions. The technically preferred motor vehicle lane alternative is a 3 to 4 lane roadway with 2 motor vehicle lanes from King Street to Duke Street, 1 transit priority lane from King Street to Duke Street, and 2 transit priority lanes from Duke Street to Weber Street. Due to the constrained roadway in front of the Rumpelfeld building on the west side of the Duke Street intersection, a westbound transit priority lane does not functionally fit. As such, it was not included in the technically preferred design. The westbound transit priority lane is restarted closer to King Street. Functionally, this 3 to 4 lane motor vehicle alternative works with Alternative D from the Alternative Active Transportation Solutions. As such, this motor vehicle and transit priority design is combined with Alternative D, which has sidewalks on either side of Victoria Street and 2-way cycle tracks on the north side of Victoria Street. This configuration provides safe and comfortable travel for cyclists and pedestrians, as well as transit vehicles and motorists. The design will be developed to a preliminary design stage, then proceed to detailed design, tender, and construction. As part of the Victoria Street Modifications King Street West to Weber Street West study, a traffic analysis was carried out for the future conditions based on the technically preferred alternatives. The traffic analysis looked at the weekday morning peak hour and afternoon peak hour operations for the 2028 year future condition of Victoria Street based on a 2-vehicular lane roadway. The traffic analysis found the majority of the corridor operating with good conditions. There is some congestion at the King Street and Weber Street intersections during peak hours in the morning and in the evening. The traffic analysis was carried out with input assuming the construction of the KCTH. These results reflect the expected increase in modal split in downtown Kitchener over time, as well as the overall decreased vehicular traffic since the rise of working from home and hybrid work. The next slide will look at access management in the study area based on the 2-way roadway configuration. Access management is the proactive management of vehicular access points to adjacent properties, such as parking lots and driveways, from the roadway. Good access management promotes safe and efficient use of the transportation network. By managing the access to 3 parking lots, traffic flow is improved. The existing Kaufman Lofts parking lot access from Victoria Street is proposed to be a right-in, right-out only access. This means that vehicles must turn right in to get into the parking lot and turn right to exit the parking lot. Further, the off-street parking of the property located at 241 Duke Street is proposed to be removed. The existing angled parking would require backing up over a sidewalk and transit priority lane, which is unsafe for pedestrians and motorists. Next steps and how to provide feedback. Following this Public Consultation Centre, the project team will review and respond to questions and comments, tracking all feedback, review the design in light of comments received and make design refinements as needed, initiate the detailed design and tender documentation process. The construction timing will be subject to funding availability and priorities. What are some of your comments on the improvements proposed for pedestrians and cyclists on Victoria Street? We encourage you to submit any comments or questions to the project team by July 1st, 2024. You can use the comment form on the webpage for the PCC. Should you wish to provide comments in another way, please contact the City Project Manager listed in the PCC display board or on the project website on the next slide. Thank you for watching this video presentation and for your interest in the Victoria Street modifications, King Street West to Weber Street West study. We appreciate your time and interest in the study.